So I must have been about 3 or 4, and I'm with my Auntie Jenny, and she's going to teach me to sew. We're going to make clothes for my dolly, and we're in her back garden. We're sitting by her back door. Sorry, it's quite emotional. We're sitting by her back door, and it's a lovely, warm summer afternoon, and we're sitting down, and she gives me a little rectangle of fabric, and she threads the needle up, and she shows me how to stitch, and I'm pulling it in and out. And so I'm really focused on this job in hand. And I'm so focused that this little rain shower comes through, and we just stay where we are, we carry on, we sing Incy Wincy Spider. And we get to the end, and Jenny helps me knot it off. We cut off the thread, we turn it inside out, and she helps me put this skirt on my dolly. And I'm blown away. Like, my little 4-year-old brain is fried. I'm so elated by what's just happened, that my beautiful auntie, like fairy tale magic, has just given me the gift of making, the gift of using my hands. So I've done that quite a lot since, right? I keep doing it. And what I love about textiles in particular is that you can take them with you can work with them, you have them in your hands, and you know, it can't help but open up questions. It's intriguing when you see somebody sitting on a bus or a train and they're working on something. Oh, what's that? What are you working on? That's nice yarn, I like that. And before you know it, you've had a beautiful conversation with somebody that you never would have spoken to before. So when I was in my early 20s, I travelled around Australia, and then on my way home, I had 6 weeks in Canada, and we were on Greyhound buses doing it on a budget, and we travelled from one side of Canada to the other and then back again, right? It's a massive country. And there were some 36-hour bus journeys in that. So on one of these bus journeys, the lady sitting in front of me, she's got busy fingers, and as with the international language of textiles, I just poke my head around the corner. Oh, what are you doing? What are you making? And she says she's making something for her son. So we chat a little bit about that, and I say, I've always wanted to crochet. I tried to teach myself. I mean, this is pre-YouTube, right? So learning from a book isn't so easy. And she just gives me this massive smile, beautiful smile. She taps the seat next to her and she says, sit down, honey. I've got a spare hook. So I sit down with her and she teaches me to crochet. And by the time I arrive at Heathrow Airport, being away for 2 years, massive backpack on my back, the doors open, my mum and dad are waiting for me, and I come out carrying a queen-size crochet blanket, right, that I've made. To which my mum's like, oh, classic, of course you would do that, wouldn't you, you know. So that blanket, anyway, 25 years later, is still in my house, and my kids sit underneath it in the morning when they're cold. And, you know, we snuggle under it when we're watching a film, and they use it to build dens. And I look at that blanket, and I see that conversation, that lady, that lovely lady on the bus who gave me her time, and I see that journey, and then I see that bit over there, and that's Montreal, and that was where I scoured the streets for like 2 days to find a yarn shop, because I'd run out. And then I see that square over there, and that's Niagara, and I remember being holed up, sick as a dog, in a YMCA or something, and I sent my boyfriend out to find some yarn, and he came back with some really questionable colours, but I just took them anyway. If you can imagine being early man and coming along and seeing some decaying plants on the floor, right, and picking them up, these long stems, and twisting these stems and twisting them to make string, and then knotting them to make a net to catch some fish, or using this string to tie a big sharp bit of stone to a stick to make a tool. Using this string then to make yourself a bag to put your things in, and enjoy making this bag, adding more knots, adding some shells and some pretty seed pods that you've picked up, or some dangly bits, creating ornamentation and decoration. It's a human need, it's a creative, we need to do it. So putting your things in these bags that you've made, your fish, your nets, etc., and being able to go out there and share them with other people that you come across. Sharing skills and trading things. So you see, textiles opened up trade routes, not just for physical things, but ideas and cultures. They've done lots of things that's gone from my head. But you might say that string, is the first step in our human evolution, in our civilization. Textiles are the story that we tell about ourselves, on first glance. They underpin many a fairy tale. They inform our vernacular. Have you ever been on tenterhooks, which is a big frame with nasty hooks on it, which you use for stretching freshly made fabric? Or have you been bursting at the seams with excitement? Or enjoyed life's rich tapestry? Or needed to unpick a situation? Or perhaps you've been guilty of spinning a yarn like I'm desperately trying to right now. So, for the last 12 and a half years, I've got a shop, and it's in Forest Hill in southeast London. Forest Hill. And it's called Stag Bow, and we are a haberdashery and a textile studio, and we sell beautiful materials for making and beautifully made things. And we do lots of craft and textile workshops, and it's lovely, you should come. So I'm at work one day behind the counter, and this guy comes in, and he's got a bit of a swagger, a little bit of a glint in his eye, and he looks at me and he says, "The button's just come off my jacket. Would you mind sewing it on for me?" And I look at him and I just say, no. And he's like, "Oh, but go on, I'll pay you. The dry cleaners is shut, I'll pay you to do it." I say, "No, I'm not going to do it for you, but I'll give you a needle and thread, you can do it yourself." So he takes it. "What do I do?" "Well, you can just have a go, work it out, you'll be fine." So he starts to sew his button on. And I can see he's a little bit tense at first, and I leave him to it, and then I look over and he's kind of relaxed a little bit. And then he sort of ties it off, "Was that good? Is that fine?" "Yeah, looks good to me." And we cut it off, and he leaves the shop with a packet of household needles and a couple of spools of thread, and an undeniable skip in his step. He's very happy with what he's just done. So you see, through my work, I've come across a lot of people, there's a lot of baggage that is associated with a needle and thread, right? So there's the people, I'm sure somebody here might feel this, there's the horrible needlework teacher that you had at school where nothing that you ever did was good enough. And then there's a whole generation that just didn't learn any needlework skills or textile stuff at school, or they weren't taught any at home. And then there's the people that are just like, "No, it's not a piece of me, no." And then there's the people that are like, "Well, I want to, but it's just a bit, I'm not going to do it neatly enough, and somebody else can do it." So, once we knew our textiles, we knew where they came from, we knew who made them, we knew how they were made, we knew how to grow the flax to make the linen or look after the animals, to raise them and take the wool and process the wool. We were connected to the earth and to the seasons and to each other. Every Wednesday morning we have a craft morning in our shop, and it's beautiful. Something really kind of magical happens. We clear the table of commerce and we set some seats around, and people come from 10 till 12 every Wednesday. Everybody's welcome. And we sit and we stitch, and it's just a place where there's no ego. It's just a really lovely place of sitting and chatting and ease and connection and sharing things very easily. So quite recently, a lady came who had fled Sudan, and she came with her host family. And she was very quiet and shy, and she didn't speak English, but the lady she was with was kind of translating the chit-chat that we were having. And she was stitching, so we were sort of, motioning, asking her what she's stitching, and she showed us, and then she started to show us some photographs of the work that she'd done. And then she started to talk about her journey that she'd just had and her family and what the future might hold for her and her pregnancy, and she'd quite like to learn to crochet. And then one of the lovely ladies came round and gave her an impromptu lesson. And it was beautiful because, you know, she shared and we just listened. So I get to witness this a lot, the power of textiles and the joy and the connection that they bring. Stitching is like a meditation. When you stitch, you're breathing in and out. You're focused. You're breathing. It's a survival skill. And you're a little bit more attached to that textile in your hand than you were before. If we can connect and understand and remember and honour our textiles, then we can better connect with each other. By connecting with each other, we connect to a part of ourselves that's a part of the universe, that's our truth. When you go home, I ask you to have a look and find a textile, a special textile to you. It doesn't have to be grand, it can be quite humble. I'm all about the humble tea towel. Use them. And I want you to take it out and I want you to touch it and I want you to feel it and I want you to smell it and I want you to really think deeply about it and think about the impact that it's had on you. I want you to really look at it and think about it. Honour and revere it. I invite you to discover that textiles are our portal to connection.